we're going to work a little bit on balancing today. We often throw a couple of balance poses into our sequence. Today we're going to add more than usual and give a few tips and pointers as we go along. So I'll say it again in a few minutes, but now is a good time. If balance is a struggle for you, you might want to have a chair close by, or make sure that you're positioned close to a wall so that you can use a prop to help you with balance, to give you a little bit more security as we're trying all the balancey things that we're going to do. But first, part of balance is being centered. So if you can imagine where your center of gravity is, so that centermost part of you, see if you can imagine roughly where that is. Somewhere behind your navel, likely. Think about your center of gravity. And let's close our eyes and see if we can breathe into that place and breathe out from there. If you're not sure where it is, just pick what you think your center is. Breathe into your center and out from there. And especially mindfully now for 2 more breaths. 2 mindful breaths into and out from your center. Excellent. We'll take thumb into hand and keep it up. We'll do the 2 breaths per position, but again, into and out from center. In through the nose and out through the mouth. Hands together, 2 breaths. Hands behind the neck or in front of the neck if that's better. Full extension as you breathe in. Slow hands to heart as you breathe out. And a breath at the heart. Extend your arms, either back of the wrists, resting on the knees, or hands flat on the mat beside you. And lift an ear. Let the head just hang there. And we're focused now in 2 places simultaneously. So you're noticing what's happening in your neck stretch at the same time as you're breathing in and out from your center. 2 big breaths. When you're ready, over to the other side. And 2 breaths. And as you're ready, let's do each side again. Still in and out from center. And as you're ready, the final side. Look back to center and turn your head to look at the side wall. Keep the back of the neck long for 2 big breaths. And over to the other side. Float back to center and drop your chin toward your chest for 3 breaths. Then walk your eyes along the floor, up the opposite wall, and across the ceiling until your eyes look somewhere above you, wherever is comfortable for your neck. Open your mouth and breathe. And walk those eyes back until the chin is on or close to the chest again for 2 breaths. And let that head float forward again. Here you have a choice. If you've been sitting long enough and you prefer to stand, you're welcome to do that. If you're sitting, you're going to rest an arm across your lap and bring the other arm up to your ear. If you're standing, this left arm will just dangle or perhaps be on your hip for support. Let's breathe in and get longer, taller. Maybe a little bit more over as you find, where does your body need this stretch? Where is the right amount of side bending for you? And bring it back to center. And to the other side. Arm to ear, shoulder low. Breathing in as you stretch upward, get longer through that whole side. And then maybe a little more over. Now we are using the arms, the shoulders, and getting into the ribs a little here. So if you need to modify, of course, please do. See how it is to reach forward with one arm and drop the shoulder way down. See how it is to reach the other arm off to the side. So you've made a right angle with your arms. Drop both shoulders down. Look past your fingers and do a little twist towards the back. Hold here for 2 breaths. If you prefer to modify, you could do the twisting portion, but hold hands on shoulders as a little less intensity for the shoulders. And bring it back to center to change sides. The other arm out in front, other arm to the side, drop the shoulders down. Look past your side fingers and twist towards the back. 2 big breaths. An option for a seated eagle here. If it works for you, you bring one arm across the body, the other arm wraps around the tricep, so that the fingers of one hand touch the palm of the other, or you're holding up one arm using the other arm, holding about the elbow and bringing the arm across the body. Whichever version you've chosen, if you're in eagle or the variation, you're dropping your shoulders down, bringing the elbows just a little bit more away from the chest. And let's again find our center of gravity for a couple of breaths. Let that go with the arms. We'll have a second opportunity later in the class to do a standing eagle. So if your shoulders are loving it, you get another chance later. Let's go with the other side. Again, drop the shoulders down, pull the elbows away from the body, and a couple of breaths into your center. Release that and bring the hands behind you. Interlace your fingers, pull your wrists apart from each other so that you get nice and open across your chest. And see how it is to lift those arms up and away from the body. A couple of breaths. Let's do one more big one. Big open heart. Release the fingers, give yourself a hug, and breathe into your low back as you twist gently side to side. You have one arm on top, open it up so that the other arm is on top. A little more, breathing into the low back. Good. So we're going to move to standing in a moment if you're not there already. But first, I'd like to remind you of your foot triangle. So if you're sitting or if you're standing, if you're able to move your foot so that you can see the bottom of it. Sometimes we talk about the 4 corners of the feet, and other times we talk about the foot triangle. it doesn't really matter. Both ways of talking about the feet are trying to give you that sense of there are places that your foot touches the ground so that it can support you when you're standing. And we're trying to be aware of those places, especially when we're doing things like balancing. So just to remind ourselves, imagine if you had to make a triangle with your foot, there would be one point of the triangle about at the, just under the big toe joint, another point of the triangle under the pinky toe joint, and then the point, if it's a triangle, the third point of the triangle at the heel. And sometimes I like to describe, you know, when you're walking around in the dirt outside and you've got a dirty foot, and you step somewhere that leaves a footprint. It's kind of where the dirty part meets the clean part of your foot, that part of your heel, just before there's a little bit of a rise. That's where I'm picturing the foot triangle third point. Again, don't worry too much. Just figure out where some touch points are on your foot so that we can focus on them when we're balancing. Let's transition now to standing. And because it is a warm day, at least if you're in Vancouver or I think anywhere in BC, help yourself to water anytime. So let's really place our feet. Find those points of the triangle. Imagine that point under the big toe joint, the point under the pinky toe joint, somewhere around the heel area as your foot triangle, and feel those 3 points. Do it on both feet. And sometimes we lift our toes right up off the ground and then place them back down so that we're also aware of how our toes help us with balance. So see if you can get that sense of the feet really grounding you today. And we'll keep awareness at our feet as we do a forward release. So we've done this lots of times. We're not balancing with this pose yet, simply building awareness of the feet as we go into a pose. So stand nice and tall, long spine, crown of the head is your highest point. Take a couple of breaths, big space for your heart and your lungs. Knees gently bent. Tuck your chin towards your chest and take a breath as again you become aware of your foot triangle. And keep your attention at your feet as you start to round down, slowly, fingers reaching toward toes. Lots of breathing to support you. So eventually you'll be hanging from your hips. Keep the attention at your feet. Keep grounding through the feet as you hang here. If your fingers touch ground, you can hold them at the elbows and straighten one leg for a full breath in and out. Keep awareness of the foot triangle as you rebend that knee and straighten the other leg. And bend both knees, stay aware of your feet as you contract your core and start to rise. Still aware of your feet, even as you bring yourself to that full standing position. Take your time, but once you are back up, make that gentle fist. And so the flat side, the punching side into the low back. Bring the elbows towards each other. The eyes walk up. Open your mouth and breathe. walk the eyes back, and shake out the legs. Good, so we're gonna get into balance a little bit gradually today. We're gonna do the same pose we just did, a forward release. However, on this second variation, we're crossing one leg over the other leg. We still want to feel the foot triangle on each foot, and sometimes it's a little harder to do when our legs are crossed like this. If you are someone with balance challenges, make sure that you're close to the wall or bring a chair right by you so that you can play with your balance a bit. What we don't want is for you to feel afraid as we go into these poses, so feel free to be anywhere, have any furniture, have any props close by, so that you can go into these balance poses a little bit playfully. If you fall over, you can catch yourself. Let's see how much we can try and test our balance today. So you've got awareness of the foot triangle on each foot. We're standing tall with one leg crossed over the other, taking a big breath. And same thing, forward release by tilting your chin towards your chest. And as you breathe, starting to roll down one vertebra at a time, noticing if you feel this in a different way since we've changed the legs. Do your best to keep both knees bent. I know that's a little tricky in this position. And notice how your balance is challenged here. Excellent. Find the foot triangle again. Contract your core and start to rise. Fabulous. Take your time, and once you're back up, we'll come to regular standing. Take a moment to bend those knees, maybe shake out the legs. And then cross whatever foot didn't cross the first time. Let's do it again. Find the foot triangle. Stand tall. Big open heart for a breath. Shoulders low. Back of the neck long. Keep both knees bent if possible. Tuck the chin toward the chest. And breathe easily as you round yourself down one vertebra at a time. Pause if you find a sore spot, as always. If you need the ground, if you feel a little more secure with your fingers touching the mat, go ahead. Then contract your core, start to rise, still keeping attention on the foot triangle. And just be aware. What did you notice in the body? Were there any places that you became aware of going into the forward release that way? And again, let's shake out the legs and grab a sip of water on this warm day. So next we'll go into our standing eagle. So make the same choice you made before about your arms. Either you're just going to pull one arm across the body and hold it up with the other arm. It's a perfectly great alternative. You still stretch the back of the shoulder. Or you're going to get into the full eagle position. So let's get into the arms first by bringing the elbows away from the chest, dropping the shoulders down. Starting to let the shoulders open and expand, or finding your modified version, Something that's a little gentler on your shoulders if you need it to be. Take a breath here. And then for standing eagle, we cross one leg over the other. It doesn't matter which one. So cross one leg over, but anchor the toes to the ground. Now you get to, depending on what you know about your balance, you'll get to make choices about how long you want to lift those toes off the ground. Before we lift it all, we're going to sit a little bit lower, try and keep our back straight. So the sitting happens because we're bending the knee. And then test the balance. Can you lift the toe even for a second? Or do you feel fairly balanced today and you can hold it for the whole time? Let's take 2 more big breaths here. Remembering it's fine to put the toes down if you need to. And bring it on back up and shake it out. Okay, so balance offers us a wonderful opportunity to practice non-judgment. Often it's a pose where students get a little bit critical of themselves, like, my balance is such a challenge, why can't I do it? There's lots of reasons why balance is a challenge. And so we are going to offer the opportunity to practice not judging ourselves in the balance pose. Let's change now the direction of the arms. Standing eagle again. Arms have gone the other way. Pulling the elbows away from your chest. Taking a breath. Easy through your neck. Whatever leg you didn't cross yet, now crosses over. Sit low. Tuck in your chin. And see if you want to test your balance by lifting your toes up on this side. Notice if this side feels easier or harder than the first side. Bring it on back up. Good. Nice shake all of that out. Fabulous. We'll do, again, the crossed leg balance. I'll demonstrate that by turning around because we're going to add a little bit of hands. So cross. One leg over the other leg. I've got my right leg crossed over my left. But whatever it is, whatever knee is in front, that's the same hand you're going to use. So I've got my right knee in front, so I'm going to take my right hand and tuck it into an imaginary back pocket. Stand tall for a breath. And then tip towards the left side for 3 breaths. Come on back up. Good. We're going to change sides. And remember that an eye focus is also a balance aid. So if you can find a spot on your wall at eye level to really zero your eyes in on, that's going to help your balance a lot. So cross the other way. I've got my left knee in front now. My left hand tucking into that imaginary back pocket, and I'm tipping towards the right. Come on back up. Shake that out again. Grab a little more water if you'd like to. So we've learned the foot triangle as one tip for balance. We've learned the eye focus as a second tip for balance. The third thing is that sometimes it's hard to stand on any cushion whatsoever. So even the yoga mat is sometimes thick enough that it impacts the balance. And students do better if they get the mat out of the way and they get their feet right down onto the solid floor. So if your balance is challenging for you today, you could try that. Move the mat, get right onto the ground. Let's try tree this way. Bring your hands to your heart and take a breath as you feel the foot triangle for both your feet. Now turn out your knee and place your toe. I've got my heel propped against the ankle area, calf area, and my toe down on the ground. And that allows me to make some choices about how stable I am. And if I feel stable, I can bring that foot a little higher, or maybe a little higher still up into the groin. I've got my eye focus, got my foot triangle, and now I'm holding here. Maybe just one breath as I see how this is in the body. And let's try it on the other side, and then we'll work up to holding a little longer. Foot triangle again, hands together at the heart. Turn out the knee. Take a breath. And decide how high you'd like the leg to be on this side. Good, and now I encourage you to play with it. So do a couple more times on each side, just at your own pace. Don't worry about how long I'm doing, just hold whatever your body tells you to hold. And if you'd like to, you can also play around with the arms, realizing my camera angle isn't great, but you can have wide open arms with the palms facing each other, or you can bring the hands together in tree pose. So you decide what you'd like to do with the arms or keep them at the heart. Breathe in, feet on the floor. Breathe out, turn out the knee. And then get into whatever variation of tree works for you. And see how many breaths it feels right to hold here. So you're changing when you're ready. If you find that it's hard to hold the foot high and that the foot tends to slide down, often students feel like maybe their pants are too slippery, and sometimes that's the case, but more likely there's some imbalance between your two hips that causes one side to be difficult to hold. It's a hard thing to rectify on your own. Usually that requires a chiropractor or physio or something like that. So again, if that's you, you get the opportunity to practice non-judgment. So even up so that you've done the same amount of tree on each side. And then we'll do our usual runner stretch, where we take a big stance, using the mat or the floor, whatever gives you a bit of grip. So front knee bent, back leg straight. I'm on the ball of the foot in back. Doesn't work for everybody, so let's see if that'll work for your feet. And my center of gravity is nice and low. And already my balance is a little bit challenged by having the legs spread out like this. I have to focus on the feet. The feet have to hold me in this place. If it's really a challenge for you, make sure you've got the wall close by or a chair or furniture. Let's reach with the fingers. Drop the shoulders down and take 3 breaths. We'll bring the arms up, shoulders low still, and another 3 breaths. Now you have the option, camera's going to cut it off, but I've got my fingers pointed, so my pointer fingers are together and pointing with the other fingers interlaced, and they're sending the fingers straight up towards the sky, extended arms. And if you feel stable, you have the option of letting the eyes look at a spot on the ceiling past your fingers, and breathe. Bring your head back to center, bring your hands to your heart, and settle your hands down beside your foot now. Let's hold here with all knees off the ground, just for 1 breath today. And then if you need some cushioning to bring the knee down, find that so the knee can be comfortable. Hands beside the front foot. Scoot your front toes forward until you have the angle that you want to have in your inner thighs and groin. And let's just rest here. Find a way to make this a releasing pose for the next 3 breaths. Walk your fingers back and lengthen out your front leg. See if you can bring your hips to align with each other so that they're the same amount forward. And lengthening the leg or keeping a little bend in the knee. Whatever works for you to get a stretch through the hamstring as you breathe. And if you'd like to point the toes towards the ground, go ahead. Flex the foot for a breath. Good. We're going from here back to standing so we can do the other side. One way to do that is to come into a squatting position and then stand from there. And step, big step with the other foot now. Center of gravity lowers. Fingers come together and reach forward. Shoulders drop down. 3 breaths. You're feeling the stability through your feet. They continue to ground you, holding you stable here. Bring the arms up. Keep dropping the shoulders down, and 3 more breaths. Interlace your fingers together. Take your pointer fingers and send them skyward. Reach your arms skyward, and if you choose to, let your head move so that your eyes look at the spot at the ceiling past your pointer fingers. Bring the head back to center, bring the hands to heart. And as you're ready, transition hands down to floor beside the front foot. Let's hold here with knees off the ground for 1 breath. Then get a cushion ready for the back knee to come down. Point the back toes, move the front toes forward. And settle yourself. What can you do to make this a nice comfortable position for 3 breaths. And walk those hands back, lengthening the front leg. Find equality through your hips. And if it feels right, point your toes towards the mat for a breath. Flex the foot for a breath. Beautiful. We've got one more standing pose, and then we'll be coming down onto the ground. So one more time. Grab a sip of water if it's close by. And find your way to standing. And again, it's a balance pose. So if it works better for you to be right on the floor, then same option as last time. You can move your mat out of the way. Place your hands on your hips. Find your foot triangle for each foot. Contract your core. Feel your kegel engaging, your low abdominals squeezing towards your spine. And see if you can simply stand on one foot. So find a good placement for yourself so that you can take all the weight onto one foot. Now, you are balancing just by doing this. So I'm going to add more things on. However, if at any point you want to come back to just this, just standing on one foot, you're welcome to do so. If you want a little bit more, with that core engaged, start to lift your back heel a little bit higher, slowly up, slowly down 5 times. We've got strength in the leg, balance helping us out. And on this one, you want to find an eye focus diagonally on the floor in front of you. Keep those eyes focused on one place as you lift and lower about 5 times. Good, and then plant those feet back down, and let's do the other side. Other foot triangle. See how it is just to stand on that foot. And if you want more, contract your core and start to lift and lower your other leg 5 times. Eyes focused diagonally on a spot. Breathe any way you need to support. Feel that foot triangle helping you out. Good. So again, just like we did with tree, now play with it. So go back to your first side and decide if maybe you'd like to bring the back leg a little higher. You've got the wall in the way, so you have to adjust in your house as well. See how high the leg wants to come. Maybe you want to hold there longer. Maybe you want to keep it lower, but you're ready to hold stable for a couple of breaths. So play around. Test your balance. Make yourself fall over even. Have furniture close by so you can wobble and catch yourself. Don't make it perfect. Just play with how the balance is for you today. And at any point, see how it is to really feel the foot triangle. See if that makes a difference. Or to really focus on your center of gravity. See if that makes a difference. Or to really get strong about the eye focus. So use those balance tricks. So even up, so you've done both sides the same amount. And come on down. Let's come down to hands and knees. And take a little moment here for cat-cow, rounding and arching, checking in with the spine. And then from here, bringing your hips halfway to heels and off to one side, finding that sweet spot in the low back that feels like a good stretch. And hips over to the other side, same thing. Excellent. Got a couple more slightly challenging poses because we're engaging core, but I do promise we will rest before we're done today. So we're going to take ourselves into a little Superman. So from a hands and knees position with a nice flat back, engage your core, squeeze your heel, hug your low abdominals up towards your spine, lift one hand off the ground and the opposite knee. So already we're asking for balance here. We're just doing it from a hands and knees position. So how stable can you be with one hand and the opposite knee off the ground? And put those ones down. Do anything the body needs to in between. And then let's change sides. Again, Kegel, core engaged, lift a hand, the other hand now, and the opposite knee. And stay stable. Or observe what happens in your body. Is there a wobble? Is it hard to stay stable? Does it make a difference to squeeze the core a little bit more? Make a difference to find an eye focus? Good. Place those down. Let's do it again. And if you're stable, you have the option of extending the limbs. If it's a challenge, then just stay with this smaller amount. So go back to the first side, engage the core, lift the hands, lift the opposite knee. If you feel stable, start to extend arm and leg, keeping as stable as you can, not too much wobble through the hips. Then slowly bring them back in, keep the core engaged into the other side. Stable as you can. The core engaged, bring it in, and back and forth again. Nice strong core, nice broad back of the shoulders. Bring that side in, change sides. Bring that in and head back down into pose of child. Let's rest. 3 big breaths. Beautiful. Let's go to Shavasana here, and then we'll do a couple more recovery poses at the end. You can choose to lay fully outstretched on your back, or to be seated in the more meditative position. Pick your favorite. Balance is challenging, so take a moment to feel, we made it to here. We get to just settle in and be still for about 5 minutes. Start to breathe as you feel yourself letting go. Feel that your spine is nice and long. The back of your neck is long. Chin tucked in a little bit. Notice the parts of you that are in contact with the ground. ground, and the parts of you that are naturally lifted off the ground, not in contact. If you're comfortable, close your eyes. And just as we did in the beginning of the class, find your center of gravity, a place somewhere behind your navel, in the center of your being. If you feel ready, breathe into that center place and hold for a moment. And then breathe out from that center place. And if you're comfortable, hold for a moment, empty of air. And let's repeat that way. Breathe into center. Hold for a moment. Breathe out from center. Hold for a moment. And we're going to keep it simple today. Trying to be mindful, staying focused just on this breathing task. Breathing into center as you're ready. Hold as long as you wish. Breathe out from center as you're ready. Hold as long as you wish. Let's continue silently for the next 2 minutes. Continue breathing as you are. Stay focused on the breath. Finish up that breath you're breathing and take 3 deeper breaths. Sighing them out. Let's all come to lying down. So if you're already lying, you're in the right place. If you're seated, come down slowly on your back. Bring your arms to cactus position, elbows at right angles. Elbows out from shoulders, hands at right angles. Cross the ankle of one leg onto the thigh of the other. Now let's lift the foot off the ground for 3 breaths here. Noticing hips and glutes and anything else that needs your attention. Keep the arms as they are, put the feet back down and change feet. Other ankle on thigh. Bring the legs towards you for 3 breaths. Open your arms up long from shoulders on out. Bring both knees in towards your chest. Flop them over to one side with a thud. Getting a twist now, a lion twist, which is a nice supported type for 3 breaths. Noticing what you feel in the body and where you feel it. Keep the arms as they are, bring the knees back in, and flop the knees over to the other side. 3 more breaths. Bring the knees back to center and lay them down long on the floor. Bring the arms to reach above your head so that you're making the longest version of your body possible. Fingers are reaching away from the toes. Toes are reaching away from the fingers. And now we're going to make a banana shape. So bring your feet over to the right corner of your mat, both feet. Bring your hands and arms over to the right corner, top corner of your mat, so that you made a moon shape or a banana shape. And again, be long. Feel a lengthening from one side. Come back to center. Let's go to the other side. Feet over to the left bottom corner of the mat. Hands over the right, the left top corner of the mat. So again, you are a banana shape, just the other direction. Come back to center. Roll onto your side. Push yourself up to sitting. Sit any way that feels comfortable for you, cross-legged or otherwise. Tall spine. Take one hand onto the opposite knee. The free hand around to the middle of you with spider fingers. So there's space between your palm and the floor. As you breathe in, lengthen your spine. As you breathe out, gently twist. Look behind, just a little, not a big movement. Breathe in and get taller. Breathe out, gentle twist. One more time. Come back to center. Other hand onto opposite knee. Free hand around behind you with spider fingers. Breathe in and tall spine. Breathe out and gently twist. 2 more breaths like that. Twist yourself back to center. Take your thumb into your hand and inhale and raise the arms. Exhale, shoulders low. Another breath. Hands together, 2 breaths per position. Hands reach up and from behind or in front of the neck. Full extension as you breathe in. Slow hands to heart as you breathe out. And a breath at the heart. Namaste. Thank you, everyone. Well done on all of the balance work today. Remember, no judgment. Whatever you did was the right thing for you.